Because if you look in their not conservative, but if you look in the Reform
books,
the books, it's the foundation for atheism.
They don't believe that the Torah was given by God at Mount Sinai, and even if it was, they don't believe that that would necessarily bind us to observe it today.
I believe,
but a lot of their women are really hot.
I believe, based on the charters of what they purport to believe. This is how I interpret it. They are much closer to atheism than they are to Judaism. If you go into a Reform temple and you say, I don't believe that I know for a fact there's no God, no problem.
Have you ever been in a Reform temple?
No. But if I were to go in, okay. I'd say I don't believe in God, right. And I know there's no God.
Yeah.
I would be okay there, based on what they purport to believe in.
You could go to a lot of Orthodox shuls and say, I don't believe in God.
No, if you don't believe in God in a frum shul, then if you say like there is no God, we talked about this before, didn't we?
Yeah, but there are plenty of people in my experience. I've met probably a dozen people who observe Jewish law and say they don't believe in God.
Then they're very confused,
including one rabbi.
He's very confused. All right, so we're getting off track here. So I'm saying,
but you could go to B'nai David or Young Israel Century City and Beth Jacob and tell the rabbi, I don't believe in God, and it would never even occur to them to throw you out.
Well, who throws anybody out? The only guy who's ever been thrown out of any shul is this guy, and he's been thrown out of 5. It's just unbelievable.
I was a different man then.
But I told you my own shot on that. I think there's something else going on, but that's a whole other story. All right, so here's what I'm saying. Right? You don't go to Jews for Jesus to become a Jew, okay? That's not a stepping stone to Judaism, is to go to Jews for Jesus, okay? You don't go to Messianic church to become a Jew, and you don't go to Reform because they don't even believe in God, okay? And whether this guy thinks like, oh yeah, there are some rabbis who believe in, yeah, what the, give me a break. You don't go to conservative, you don't go, these are all heretical movements, and you're no closer to becoming a Jew by going to them. Now, you could say to yourself, well, I mean, here's the question I want to say. Who are you doing this for? If you're a non-Jew, and it looks too hard to get a kosher conversion, it looks too hard to get an Orthodox conversion, if you will, and you say, well, I'm just going to settle. I'm going to settle, and I'm going to get a conservative one. Okay? You know, for a buck less, I can get the conservative one.
A lot of them very nice calligraphy, and they look very nice.
Yeah, it looks wonderful, you know.
It looks nice on your wall. You meet some nice people. You might have some premarital sex.
Who are you doing it for? Because you're not fooling God. You are not fooling God. Okay? He has prescribed exactly what you need to do to convert. You need to come out of that mikveh and keep all 613 mitzvahs. You have to keep them. Conservative teaches you how it's okay not to keep any of them. How there's, I mean, like, you can't come out a conservative and tell yourself it's okay. You're not. You're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself, but you're not fooling God. Now, you may say, well, there's other Jews who are going to believe that you are, and they're going to accept you as being a Jew. There's a problem with that. First of all, even if that were true, that today most Jews are secular, most Jews are not frum, and they might be okay with that. First of all, the thing that you have to understand is birth rates. Frum people they spit out like litters of 12 kids, and it's not going to take very long before the Frummies, are the majority of Jews, both in this country and worldwide. It's going to, if birth rates are phenomenal. I once did it, and I checked it out, and in 3 generations, about 95% of all Jews in the world are going to be frum, unless there's some sort of something that happens, you know, like some pogrom or something like that, you know, or Obama starts sending all the Frummies to some camps or something, and this is the way it's going to go down. 95% of all Jews are going to be frum. So the face of Jewish world is changing. And it's very, very important that maybe your kids won't be affected by this, but your great-grandkids will. Maybe it's not important to you, but your great-grandkids are not going to be accepted as Jews by 95% of the Jews in this country, because that's how fast the birth rates are going. It's phenomenal what birth rates can do. I mean, if you do the math, it's unbelievable how fast this happens. So there's that. But here's another thing to consider. Your congregation in this conservative temple might consider you a Jew, but you know what? Maybe it's possible that most of those people are not even Jews themselves. They are likewise Goyim, who are fooling themselves with a bogus conversion and claiming to be Jews, or they were born to a mother who had a bogus conversion, or maybe they were born to a mother who didn't even have any conversion. But they're Goyim, and it's a club. It's going to become a club for people who are not Jewish, who claim to be Jews, and they're all going to reassure themselves how we're all Jewish, but in reality, you're not. So this is my opinion. Don't even step foot in conservative. It's a waste of time. It's detrimental to your development. Only bad can happen from it. You're going to be fooling yourself the entire time you're in there, being reassured by people who are Goyim. You're going to be fooling yourself thinking you're thinking you're a Jew, when God, it can't be fooled on this one. And then your kids, God forbid, 18 years from now, are going to want to get into yeshiva and they're going to be denied. So that's what I have to say on the entire vort of the problems with non-kosher conversions. As far as I'm concerned, I think the most damaging thing in this world right now for the Jewish people is non-kosher conversions. They are causing so much confusion in the world, because you're going to have this problem where all these people running around saying they're Jews and they're not, and you're going to have to start, at some point, everybody's going to have to carry around proof that they're a Jew. Do you know the 2 ways to prove you're a Jew? Well, there's 3 ways.
Well, I've got my conversion certificate.
That's one. Somebody like me, how do you prove you're a Jew if you were born a Jew? How do you prove that?
Your parents and their parents.
How?
I don't know.
There's 2 things that are usually accepted. One is a kasuba. There's an interesting thing about kasubas. You take a kasuba that was kosher, it was at Mount Sinai.
Kasuba is a marriage document.
It's a marriage document. And you take it, and to write the next one, you work it off the previous one. So there is an unbroken chain of transmission from the time the kasuba started being written, all the way down to today. Mm-hmm. So, like, I was engaged, and they said, "Oh, you have to bring in proof that you're a Jew." Look at me. I have to have proof that I'm a Jew. So I was like, "Hey, no problem. I'll bring my sister's kasuba, because it was written based on my mom's kasuba, which was based on her mom's You see where this is going?
Yeah.
So there's like a chain effect.
Yeah.
So like, then I would take my kasuba, and then if somebody, it's like, if one of my nephews, let's say, was getting married and they couldn't find my sister's, they could work off of mine, because you can't have one unless it was worked off somebody else's. So if you have a kasuba, then you're all good to go. Now, a lot of paperwork was destroyed in, let's say, the Holocaust. So that they rely on another way. If you can show that you have like your relatives were all buried in a Jewish cemetery. Mm-hmm. It used to be that they, you couldn't. There was only Jews. Somebody claimed that there was a certain point in time, maybe 100 years ago, if somebody claimed to be a Jew, they were a Jew. So if they were buried in a Jewish cemetery, then you know that you come from a Jewish thing. Today, I don't know, because there's so many people running around claiming to be Jewish and they're not.
Right.
On your blog today, I don't even know if you know it because it was obviously brought in from the outside.
Yeah.
Somebody put a film up and there's like some law going down in the state of Israel right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't understand all the politics, but I know it's a major issue, non-kosher conversions.
Yeah.
And the who is a Jew issue, it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem that we have in the Jewish world today. All right. I think we've covered all the leftovers from the conversion from last week, unless there's some more questions that people have or something.
Okay, so this week's Torah portion is Eikev. It's Book of Deuteronomy, starting in the middle of chapter 7 and running through the middle of chapter 11. So this is the third Torah portion in Deuteronomy, and